Hi, guys, it's Millie, and welcome to Let's Talk Personal Finance, the channel where we discuss how to make money and how to manage it. I know. It's been more than a year since I last posted a video, and not counting that one random video I posted halfway through 2024. For everyone who subscribed whilst I was absent, I'd like to say thank you so much for subscribing. And for my day ones, those who have been with me since I started this channel, I just want to thank you so much for not unsubscribing. I'll try and do better in 2025, right? I'll try. I would also like to apologize to everyone who has been sending me DMs and emails. And I haven't responded to you yet. I'm so sorry. I currently have like hundreds and hundreds of emails, and it's going to take me a while for me to actually sort through all of them and respond. But I think majority of the emails have to do with the draft contract for my motorbike business. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are emailing me are interested in that. So I've added a link down in the description box below where you can actually just download the draft without me having to email you. So at least you can get it, and then I'll also just try and respond to your emails. And whilst we're talking about the motorbike business, I do have some updates, but I'll be sharing all of those in an upcoming video. So please stay tuned. I promise I'll release a video soon enough. I'll be talking about my experience, how much money I've made, because I know you guys are interested in that, and also answering some of your questions. So stay tuned. So now, based on the title of this video, you guys know that I'll be talking about my 2025 financial goals. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk about my last year, my 2024 finances, what I've been doing, what I haven't been doing, because I think I'll need to provide you guys with that context so you can understand why my financial goals for 2025 are the way they are. So 2024, the major update is that I'm now living on my own. I moved out of my parents' house. I'm actually in my apartment right now, and I'm paying all the bills. So you can only imagine how it was for me financially. But at the beginning of last year, I hardly had any furniture when I moved out. I think I only had this couch. I had a bed, a fridge, a microwave. I did not even have pots and plates and spoons and all of that stuff. So my financial goal for 2024, I only had one goal, to be honest, and that was to furnish my apartment without getting into debt. And I did do that for the first 6 months. So I would just, all of the disposable income that I had a wish list, and then I'll just buy whatever was on the top of my wish list or whatever was most urgent. And then around June, July, I realized that, yeah, I've been buying a whole bunch of stuff and it's great. I love all of the stuff that I bought. But coming into 2024, I had two debts. So the first one was I had bought a phone using my overdraft facility, and I paid down like two-thirds of it, and I was left with like 5,000 rands during that time. So it wasn't a significant amount of debt, but by June and July, I realized that 6 months had gone by and I still owed the same amount because I hadn't been paying towards the COJ debt or my overdraft facility. So then that's when I was like, you know what, I can't go the whole year without paying down these debts, especially considering how small they were. So I came up with a payment plan of like how I was going to pay them off. And basically I was going to put 1,000 rands towards the two of them every month. And by the end of the year, I would have paid both of them off. And I did go ahead with that plan. And then I think around November, I'd finished paying them off. So yay, I was so happy. And then I realized that I had spent the whole of 2024 with half of a month's worth of an emergency fund, meaning that if I did not get an income for whatever reason, anytime during 2024, I did not have enough money to cover my bills for even 1 month. which is ridiculous if you think about it. Especially considering the fact that I have two home loans, this apartment, as well as my investment property. And it's like I did not even have enough to cover those expenses for 1 month. So I don't know. I think I was in 2024, I was just so excited, about getting an apartment and furnishing it and like buying all of this deco and all of that stuff that I did not even realize that I didn't have an emergency fund. I know it sounds ridiculous. So, yeah, basically, that's what my 2024 was like financially. Now, before we get into my 2025 financial goals, I would like to read a scripture that basically forms the foundation of my financial goals for 2025. And in actual fact, I think ever since I started working, around the time I started working, that's when I came across the scripture. And I think from day one, it formed the basis for how I knew I wanted to manage my finances. So I'm going to read it for you guys. It's from Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8 from the Living Bible translation. It says, "Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy fellow. Learn from their ways and be wise. For though they have no king to make them work, yet they labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter." Ooh, I love it. I love the scripture. All right, so let me read it again. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy. I love that part. I feel like it's very shocking, it grabs your attention, which is why I love it so much. But essentially, the scripture is talking about how ants, they don't have a leader, they don't have a ruler, they don't have a king or a governor, they don't have anyone to tell them what to do. And yet, they know that in summer they need to work hard, save up all of the different food that they harvest from all of these different places so that they can have access to food when winter time comes, right? And basically, the lesson from that scripture is that my take, which I think is the general take, is that you cannot spend every single rand, every single dollar, whatever currency you want to use, you cannot spend all of the money that you earn. It's not wise. It is not wise to live above your means, which would be getting into debt. And even if you're not living above your means, living paycheck to paycheck, it's not ideal, right? Because when the winter comes, if you don't have any money saved up, then, you're going to be struggling. So that's why I love that scripture so much. And it forms the basis of like my financial philosophy, dare I say. My understanding of it is that you should live on far less than what you make, right? If you're making 10,000 rand, as an example, your monthly expenditure should not be equivalent to 10,000 rand. And I feel like for most of 2024, my expenditure has been more or less equivalent to what I was getting in, aside from like money that was going towards like my retirement annuity. So, my goal for 2025 is to cut down on my spending and to basically fight off lifestyle inflation, lifestyle creep, whatever you want to call it. It's very easy to get a salary increase and then adjust your lifestyle in accordance to your new salary, or for your business to grow. Now you're making more money, and then now you just find yourself spending more money. So I want to get to a point where I'm spending far less than what I'm earning by the end of this year. Now, before I could set concrete targets, I needed to know what my current expenditure is like right now. So I did some analysis in the month of December. The calculations that I did was I took my take home income. So this is the money that hits my bank account. And then I added to it the money that is set aside by my company and that goes into my retirement annuity. So those two values, I added them up together to get my income. I then used that total income to come up with a new budget. So this is a current breakdown of my budget at the beginning of 2025, and January will be the first month that I make use of this budget, but I'm just going to give it to you guys in terms of percentages. So 27.03% of my income starting from January will be going towards achieving my financial goals. So the main financial goal that I have is to have at least a 3-month emergency fund. Currently, I have 1.5 months because in November I started putting more money towards it. And fortunately, because I got a bonus in December, I was able to put most of it towards that goal. So I currently have 1.5 months. My goal is to have at least 3 months, but I think I might push it to 4 months worth of expenses. Some of it will be going towards my retirement annuity. So for the past couple of years, I've been putting in the bare minimum into my retirement annuity because my main priority was to save up for an apartment, which I'm not in. So yeah, so now I'm at a point where I can actually start increasing my retirement savings. So currently, I'm only putting in 5%, which is very low. But starting January, I'm going to push it up to 10% of my income. And then once I have at least 3 months worth of expenses saved up in my emergency fund, then I'll push it up to 15% or more. The next financial goal is that I've been neglecting my tax-free savings. So if you guys don't know, I think it's around 36,000 rands that you're allowed to put into a tax-free savings. And that basically means any interest that you earn on the money that's in your tax-free savings account will be tax-free, which means you will never get taxed on it. So a tax-free savings account is very good to use for like long-term saving or investing, because it makes sense to capitalize on compound interest and leave the money in for as long as possible so that you gain a lot of interest, and then all of that interest will be tax free. So that's something that I want to start up again. And then the other financial goal that I have is to pay down debt. So currently I have 3 debts, but the 2 main debts are my 2 home loans. So I want to pay them down quicker. Some of that 27.03% will be going towards paying down my properties faster. But I think I'm going to focus first on the investment property. Now, 8.11% of my income will be going towards my sinking funds. So the sinking funds that I have, it's basically money that I know I'm going to be using in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months or within 2025. So I'm saving the money, but I'm saving to spend. And then lastly, the largest portion of my income, 64.86%. So this will be going towards my monthly expenses, which to me is a lot of money. So that means that if I put my monthly expenses and my sinking funds together, that's a total of 72.93%. So my main goal for 2025 is to get that 72.97%. I want to get it down to 50%. So currently, I'm looking at my expenses. There are a few things that I have noticed that I can reduce. So the first one is my car insurance. I'm paying too much. Right, I've looked at my premiums. I've been talking to other people, and other people are paying far less, especially taking into consideration that I have an older car, like a 2016 Fiat. So the insurance that I'm currently paying is far too much. So I'm currently shopping around at different companies and stuff. And one of my goals for January is to either negotiate with my current insurance company to get a lower premium, Or if I can't get a premium that is low enough, I'll have to move and choose another insurance company. So I've already gotten started on that. The other expense that I think I can reduce is my Wi-Fi. Currently, my Wi-Fi, it's not that expensive, but I think I can downgrade. The other expense that I have is that I have a phone contract. And the phone contract, I think it's expiring in August of this year. So once I have finished paying off that contract, I'm going to be able to reduce my monthly expenses. So I think those are the main things. But as you can imagine, reducing all of those expenses is probably going to save me a couple $100. So it's not enough to get me to my target of living on only 50% of my income. So the other way that I'm going to reach that target is to increase my income. So I think one way that I'm going to increase my income will be with salary increases. I'm going to be getting one at the end of this month of January. So by then, by end of January, the numbers will already look different. So YouTube is one of those things that I really want to work on this year, because I think it can be a great source of income if I really put in a lot of time and effort into it. And then there's something else that I've been working on since last year. But I'll only share with you guys either A, when I'm successful and I'm making money, or B, if I'm unsuccessful and I'm not making money and I've decided to quit. That's when I'll start talking about it. But until then, I'm just going to keep it under wraps for now. But I have strategies, you could say, of how I can make more income. And then also something else that I started doing last year in 2024 was that I did a few like freelance projects on the side, and I did make a bit of money. So I'm thinking I might take on more projects this year if I do come across them. But one thing that I learned last year was that I'm not charging enough. It's a lot of work for not enough money. So I'll need to, if I'm going to do any freelance work this year, I need to ask for more money. Otherwise, it just won't be worth it. So that's it for this video, guys. Please let me know what your 2025 financial goals are. Leave them down in the comment section. I'm really glad to be back on YouTube. I actually really miss this. It's so much fun sitting here recording, talking to myself. And remember, you're never too old or too young to talk about personal finance. Toodles!